episode that felt like it was a season finale for, like, the first season of the Ninjala anime. This is it. Episode 20, Leonard the Runaway. Because in this episode, things are confirmed, things are resolved, things are set up for, like, what's going to end up happening in the next season and what the new threat's going to be. And it's no longer just establishing characters and establishing motivations. It is now fully into the story, and it is super well done. This entire episode was really good. So hello, ladies and gentlemen, and other core gamers out there. CAJ Man 777 here. And today, obviously, we're going to be talking about Ninjala anime. We're going to be talking about episode 20, which is titled Leonard the Runaway. And I'm just going to say it now. This is probably my favorite episode of the entire Ninjala anime so far. It is just kind of that good. The pacing's well done. The animation's well done. Kind of everything in this episode is well done. And I'm very excited to be talking about that. So, of course, if you guys are looking forward to learning about Ninjala anime episode 20 and what my thoughts and opinions were on this episode, before I go any further, do me a favor and hit that like button if you are enjoying the content, as well as hitting that subscribe button if you are also enjoying the content. Obviously, we got a couple goals to hit this year. I want to get 3,000 before the end of June, maybe, and then hopefully 5,000 by the end of the year. And I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to make videos if it wasn't for everybody's support here and the subscribers coming in and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for all the support you do. And let's talk about Ninjala episode 20. Our episode opens up with a few days after the events of the Orange Sheet Terror, where Burton and Berecca kind of met Leonard. We open up in the secret hideout with Genryusai, Burton, and Berecca talking about exactly what happened and the events of, you know, that day. And Genryusai is, you know, kind of just chilling with Burton and Berecca, and Berecca asks him for his advice because a certain situation came into play where, as Genryusai said, Leonard might be alive. And as we know from the last episode, episode 19, Berecca, Burton, of course, and Miss Daisy, you can see her in the background of a couple shots, ended up running into Leonard. And in this scene, Berecca feels rather conflicted because she's talking about the fact that, hey, Leonard, this really is me. And Leonard's not sure because Berecca, the real Berecca, would be 20 years old by now. But Berecca, like, is convincing enough and even tells Leonard a story on Berecca's 10th birthday. Which, by the way, we do get a flashback to, which we will get to momentarily. And it's really, really cute. There's a couple events that Berecca mentions that kind of gets Leonard's memory jogging to say, hey, that this is the real Berecca, but she's very conflicted because at the very end of this scene, Leonard is asking to meet Berecca 3 days from now at this very location. Interesting. Ooh. Now, based on what I know about Ninjala Story Mode Chapter 2, Leonard might not entirely be, like, good. He might entirely not be a good guy, but he also might not entirely be a bad guy. It's never explained exactly why we are railing Leonard in Story Mode Chapter 2. Obviously, it's something to do with the Black Stones, which we will get to. They are mentioned in this episode. And Leonard seems to be like the big bad controlling the Shadow Ninja and the Space Ninja in the Story Mode Chapter 2. But what if Leonard was just hiding and we're only trailing Leonard because he snuck in, and he snuck in after the behest of what happens at the end of this episode where Berecca gets sent to Odeo like she does in Story Mode Chapter 2 and is trailing Leonard because he sneaks out of Genryusai's care, which also happens at the end of this episode, to Odeo. I wonder. I don't know. But it's a cool idea. But either way, I really like this opening scene. I really like this opening scene because it is Leonard being convinced that, hey, this is Berecca, and Berecca even explains, hey, there was an accident that made me end up like this. And it's a very conflicting situation because Berecca then explains to Genryusai that people were after Genryusai, which we knew. People were after Leonard, and the people specifically after Leonard were the Shadow Ninja. So Berecca, once again, is asking for Genryusai, if you know anything about what happened to Leonard and my father, please tell me right now. And now we get a great motivation for Genryusai to really give some information. Remember, Genryusai is like one of the heads of the WNA. He does sit on the council table. Whether he is the leader of the academy itself, and that's why he has a seat on the WNA council. This is so funny. It's not like, what the heck, the WNA council table. If he's like the head of the academy, or he is like above Luke even in the WNA order, which is entirely possible. He seems to be very free-spirited and free-minded. So Genryusai goes on to explain that Leonard and Sean were investigating something for the WNA, and unfortunately what ended up happening is they got caught off guard. Berecca's father kind of disappeared, and Leonard disappeared. No one reported back to the WNA for some time. But now that Leonard's suddenly shown up again, there is a very interesting, like, air of mystery to what Genryusai says, because he says, well, if Leonard is alive and they were investigating these supposed meteorites, a geological survey, from what Genryusai knows, it is a meteorite that is led to the Blackstones, which is a very important thing, actually, in Ninjala lore, believe it or not. They want to perform a geological survey, but what Genryusai can't seem to understand in this scene is that if Leonard was alive after the events of what happened here, why would he suddenly not immediately return to the WNA and report what happened? Why would he go off and run away on the side? Something just doesn't seem to add up here. And while that doesn't necessarily get answered in this episode in particularly, it does bring up a mystery, and it kind of sets up what we might be seeing in the future episodes of the Ninjala anime, which I think is a really good call, because it seems like I'm going to consider what is now going to be Ninjala Season 2 to be a brand new adventure into Odeo, into the world of the Shadow Ninja and the machinations behind the WNA, a bit more than just the ninja gun. Is this going to lead into like what happens in story mode chapter 2? That'd be interesting.
WNA の任務である調査をしておったと聞いておる。その途中で消息を絶った。
The Black Stones, according to story mode chapter 2.
何の調査だったんですか？
お江戸に赴き、何か地質調査の。
Yes, the Black Stones. Okay. Yo, this actually might connect into story mode chapter 2. Like, legitimately, this might just be straight up the episode for it.
じゃが、推理できることが一つある。
推理？
さよう。生きているのになぜレナードは WNA に戻ってこんのか。生きているなら本部に戻り報告する義務があるはず。命を狙われているならなおのこと WNA に保護を求めるのが筋じゃろ。
でもレナードさんには追っ手が。
お前たちがレナードを守ってここへ連れてくるのじゃ。
Season 1 was focusing more around the Space Ninja and the development of the Ninja Gum and the characters. So introducing everybody, Season 2 is now going to be like our first more full-fledged story going into that, where the threats from the previous season might still exist, like Oniwan Banshu and Alan, for example. And the Space Ninja, I'm sure, will make a return at some point. They haven't fully dealt with them. I would still love to see them animate the giant loco soda bottle, which I think would be hilarious. But, yeah, I really like what they're setting up for this episode. So the decision falls onto Berecca then, of course, to see exactly, you know, does Berecca want to go through with this? Does Berecca want to meet up Leonard and find out exactly what's going on? So then, because of Berecca thinking in her mind what's happening with all of this, it's really cool, because Genryusai ends up coming up with a plan for Burton and Berecca to rendezvous with Leonard and bring Leonard back into the WNA, back into their secret hideout, because from what Genryusai can deduce, if Leonard is being trailed, if Berecca kind of goes off alone, there's not going to be a lot of time to talk before Leonard, of course, suddenly gets, you know, attacked again by the Shadow Ninja, which he is being followed by currently, which is weird because, again, in Story Mode Chapter 2, you think he alliances with the Shadow Ninja, so I think there's more to it than what's going on, or they might have went in a completely different direction with the anime, so I'm actually looking forward to see what they do with that going into more like Ninjala Season 2 of the anime. I think it'll be interesting. But not before we cut to, I think, one of the cutest scenes in this entire episode, and we get a flashback of Berecca when she's 10 years old, and her father, Sean. Now, this is the first time we have ever seen Sean, who is Berecca's father, in canon. We've never seen Berecca's father in the Ninjala anime. He's mentioned, but you never see a picture, as far as I'm aware, of Berecca's father, Sean, and we get a flashback of Sean and Leonard and little 10-year-old Berecca, who is just the cutest character ever. If you put 10-year-old Berecca, 10-year-old Lucy, and 10-year-old Burton in a room together, I would protect them with my life. Those are my children, okay? Like, actually, the younger versions of these characters look so cute. And, of course, we do get Sean's personality. Sean's kind of outgoing. He's kind of a little energetic, but very caring, much like Burton is to Berecca, in the same way that Berecca kind of acts as an older sister to Burton, too, even though she's actually younger than Burton. So, I really like this little flashback here, and it shows that Berecca, even in her young age, was very curious, and the thing that she mentioned earlier with Leonard, with her breaking into her father's lab and end up getting soot on her face. You actually see that! Oh my god, we are getting a flashback! And this is the first time we've seen Berecca's dad as well, so this is like kind of a huge... Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, come on now! That's cute! It's funny because it is the same voice actor doing 10-year-old Berecca that we currently have. They've just changed they haven't like changed the pitch of their voice, but they've changed like the tone of the voice to make themselves sound a little bit younger, which I really like, because if you think about it, 10-year-old Berecca, remember, Berecca would have been 20 at this point. Burton was like 22, 23, somewhere around there. So, what I really like about this is, if you actually think about it, the kids in Ninjala, again, they're all like between 12 and 16. Not even. They're like 12, they're like 11 to 14. So, having a flashback of younger Berecca, even though she's in her, like, kid form right now, is kind of neat, because what they do is they change the main clothing that the characters wear a little bit. And I'm sure we're going to see more of that going forward. I think in the next episode preview, there was, like, a young Burton as well. And we've seen young Burton and young Berecca before, way back in, oh god, was it episode 5? No, I think it was even before that. But we get a flashback of that before. Either way, and this is a really cute scene, and Leonard shows up with the daisies that Berecca mentioned earlier when Leonard showed up, and oh, it was just cute. It was a really cute scene, and I really enjoyed seeing little Berecca. It's funny because they also draw 10-year-old Berecca shorter than Berecca's current form, her little kid form. So 10-year-old Berecca is shorter than half the door in the shot, but if you look at the how Berecca looks now in her kid form, she's actually a little taller, so that's another like noticeable difference, which is it's just cute. Again, I really like that scene, and I love finally seeing Berecca's dad in canon, because that's, again, we never really got a good picture of what Berecca's dad sounded like, what he was like. We could only infer what he looked like, what he was like. Obviously, he shares the same pink hair and ninja heritage that Berecca does, which is very cute. After this scene, we cut to Burton and Berecca trying to explain to Cappe and Van that they just want to throw a party for their friend, but they want to use the hideout in secret to do this. Now, unfortunately, Genryusai kind of already planned for this. As Burton and Berecca, it's very hard for them to kind of tell a lie, as, you know, Van and Cappe are like, I don't know why you can't just introduce us to your friend, so we'll just camp out in the hideout. And Berecca's trying to make up a lie that her friend is really shy, and Emma, Lucy, and Jane walk into the scene, and they're all trying to be very convincing to let everybody show up to greet this, you know, Berecca's friend of the birthday party. And Jane walks in, and actually, I like the shot of Jane that they get when Jane walks in and explains, Berecca, you're sounding really suspicious. You're not throwing a party at all. I can see it right through your teeth. That's cute.
ベレッカの友達だったらオイラたちにも紹介してくれてもいいじゃんなあ。それもそっか。いやそれがその人見知りする子だから。パーティーなら大勢でやった方が絶対楽しいって。そうだよ、俺たちにも参加させてよ。いや
なんか怪しくない？本当は誕生パーティーなんて嘘なんじゃないの？実は友達じゃなくて彼氏だったりして。
マジかよ。そんなわけないじゃない。
Jane coming in.
焦るところがますます怪しい。
It's almost like they did like a 3/4 shot of Jane, but her mouth is like kind of tilted this way. Like tilted toward the camera, so you actually see like her full tooth line and stuff like that. It's a really interesting shot. While I will think it's a little off model, it's really not bad. It kind of gives a very interesting perspective because Jane's kind of leaning and tilting her head this way a little bit in the shot, and you can tell just by how she's standing. And it's a really good effect. And it's funny, as Jane's explaining this, Berecca's facial reactions are changing as well. Although it's not like constant animation in the background where Berecca's kind of like interacting and looking around with all the characters and stuff like that. It's not active animation in a scene. It's most commonly what animes do, where the one main character's talking, the rest of the characters are posed or looking or changing their facial expressions, but they're not like actively moving around or doing anything else like that in the scene. Some shows will do that, and the shows that do that have incredible budgets, but limited animation is very common in the anime industry like this, and that's exactly what they're doing here. But I will say, on the animation front for this episode, everything looks great. I think the Pokemon team, who is also the same team who does the Ninjala anime, not like the Pokemon anime team, I should say, is also the same team that works on the Ninjala anime. I'm really starting to see that they've nailed the style of the Ninjala characters down a little bit, and they've also really started to nail how, like, they move and feel a bit more as ninjas instead of, like, having to animate the Pokemon. And, you know, animating, you know, the characters in Pokemon. Now they're focusing just around these main characters, and the style and the shading and everything in this episode looks really good because of it. You could definitely tell from episode 1 to now there's been a huge improvement in the animation quality overall. And I'm really happy to see them continue to do that, because animation's a tough job. It really is. Either way, as the scene goes on, Master Genryusai steps in because he realizes that Burton and Berecca can't really hold a lie. So, Burton explains the actual situation, that is a friend of Berecca's late father that they are trying to help. So, Burton does explain it, and they're all wondering, well, why can't we help? We've known each other for a while now, we should be able to help. And that's when Genryusai steps in and gives everybody a piece of ninja gum to, you know, assist in getting Leonard back. And that's a cut for that scene.
亡くなったお父さんのお友達。そういうことならオイラたちも協力する。みんなでレナードさんを守ってアジトまで連れてこよう。
Oh, Burton did explain it. Didn't explain Berecca's relation though, I'm assuming.
何かわかるかもしれないんでしょ？
レナードさんの命を狙ってるのってどんな奴らなんだ？それは
おそらくシャドウ忍者じゃな。
ガムッチ。
WNA に敵対する忍者たちじゃ。
This is gonna... I really have a feeling this is gonna be Story Mode Chapter 2 in a nutshell.
なんでここに？
お前ら嘘が下手じゃからの。まあ、二人よりみんなでやる方が成功率も高くなるじゃろう。そこでこれをみんなに渡しておこうと思ってな。
Cut to our next little small scene with Alan being very, very angry and the Oniwa, and talking to members of the Oniwambashu, who we will see very soon later in the episode. I'm just gonna let the scene play. Nothing to know other than Alan angry. Kill Burton and Berecca. Oh, he's pissed.
いつまで戸惑っている。
それがアカデミーの中では思うように彼らを始末するチャンスがなく、
今に始まったことでもあるまい。奴らがアカデミーの外に出た時がチャンスだ。それは逃すな。ほう。
So after that scene, we get, I think, another like really important scene that kind of feels like it's a bit of closure for the episode and for the Ninjala anime season 1. And that's Burton talking to Ron yet again. Ron is very cold. He's kind of closed off when he's around Burton. And the reason he is very closed off around Burton is because he does not like how he lets his guard down around Burton. But he doesn't, Ron has never really been one to work with allies constantly. So the fact that Burton is coming up to him and kind of asking for this favor right now, it doesn't sit well with Ron, because Ron is really a lone wolf, and like I said, he just doesn't like the way he lets his guard down around Burton. And Burton tries to, you know, get some information out of Ron as he offers Ron a piece of ninja gum. Ron just kind of shrugs it off and says, no, this is your problem, it has nothing to do with me. And Burton at this point is like, okay, I need to stop kind of hiding how it is. And Burton is asking, I think it's about time you told me the truth. Are you the same Ron who worked with me and Berecca? A question that was asked so long ago, and now it feels like there's a finality to it. It feels like there's way more weight to this scene overall, and it really goes to show that Burton is he is a caring soul at the end of the day. He does care about all the people he worked with. He is, you know, he calls them friends at the end of the day. Ron is very cold. He goes, what was that Ron to you anyway? And as Burton says, a friend and a fellow researcher, something kind of changes in Ron a little bit. And this is a really good scene. You even get a flashback of another thing that I don't think was in episode 0 or episode 1 when they were talking about their research, but it's like Ron's ability to focus on everything and keep Burton calmer in a scenario. It was really cool to see, and I love another flashback in this episode. There's two solid flashbacks in this episode, and they hit so well because the pacing of this episode was absolutely phenomenal. Again, this is easily one of my favorite. This is my favorite episode of the Ninjala anime so far because of the pacing and everything that went forward and they did with this. I have to play the scene because this is like one of the best scenes in the episode. There are some really cool shots in like still frames and animation tweens in this episode, but like this scene in general plays a major part into what Ninjala Season 1 was. Identifying with characters, wondering why they work together, how are they all working together, why is Ron not trying to kill Burton and Berecca, because he's not. And I think at the end of the day, part of this scene, in part of this scene, Ron kind of feels guilty for having to betray Burton and Berecca after they completed the 2052 experiments that Burton recalls for creating the Ninja Gum. And after they created the successful prototype of the Ninja Gum, Ron was working with the Oniwambashu at the time, was, you know, tasked to assassinate them and steal the data for the Oniwambashu. And I think that's why Ron's been kind of cold toward Burton and Berecca, not giving them information, because he feels guilty for working for someone who is trying to undermine the WNA in general. I don't think that's what Ron's values stand for. While Ron values strength and being able to adapt to any situation, he doesn't want to undermine. And that's exactly what Alan and the Oniwambashu are doing, and that's something that Ron has come to realize over time. And the scene really makes up for it.
話は分かった。
ロンも協力してくれないか。敵が誰だかわからないけど、君がいてくれたら心強い。
俺には関係ないことだ。
君は僕とベレッカと一緒にこの忍者ガムを研究してたロンなんだろ。
だとしたら、俺と同じ名前のその男はお前とどういう関係だったんだ。
どういう関係って、友達さ。そして それ以上に本当に頼りになる共同研究者だった。
成功する最も確実な方法はもう一度
I kinda like this!
WNA は任せろ。お前らは研究に専念している。
I really like this, the direction this entire episode's going.
冷静になれ、バートン。実験というのは緻密にデータを取って
のがついに完成したその日、彼は僕とベレッカを裏切った。きっと何か僕たちに話せない理由があったんだ。なあ、話してくれよ。2502回も一緒に実験をしてい
Okay,
たじゃないか。
I feel like that was such a much needed scene. And Jane coming right from a workout as well. The next part of it, you know, Jane overhears this whole conversation with Burton and Ron on the roof, and even Jane goes up to, you know, talk to Ron about this and goes, I think it's about time we team up with them. You know, they're there for you. They're not mad. They're not mad about your betrayal. They understand you might be going through something else. And the scene kind of ends with Ron going, I did enjoy our research.
ねえ、もういいんじゃない？あなたが思うほど向こうは気にしてないわ。
バートンってやつはとんでもないお人よしさ。昔からそうだった。
だったら
俺はあいつのお人よしに甘える自分が許せないんだ。もう就寝の時間だ。でもあいつと実験するのは楽しかった。
There it is. So then we cut to 3 days later. The supposed meeting place at night where Berecca is supposed to be meeting Leonard. And as Leonard looks on, waiting for Berecca, of course, to come out from the shadows so he can have a good talk, the first two who actually step out are going to be Van and Cappe. And Leonard goes, wait a minute, why are they sending children? Is this a trap? Is the WNA trying to lure me somewhere? Something makes me think that Leonard has multiple motivations where he is not allowed to return to the WNA, and maybe he does work for the Shadow Ninja. He's very confused as to why Cappe and Van are the first two to come out. But, unfortunately, as Cappe and Van trying to get him to come with them, they get attacked by the Shadow Ninja. And unfortunately, Leonard's leg gets pretty, it gets hit pretty badly, even though, they can't show blood in the Ninjala anime. We can only assume his leg's hit pretty badly as he's not able to move nearly as fast. And, of course, he is a ninja, and while he wants to offer to help, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to in his injured state. As Cappe and Van do kind of confirm that there really are people after him. And what shocks Leonard the most is when Cappe flies off, because Leonard is shocked and going, wait a minute, these kids are ninja? Are they someone I can trust? And that's one of the wildest things here. And you get some really solid animation throughout this entire action sequence where we get all the characters kind of coming together for this one big moment. As the Shadow Ninja come by and they try and attack Leonard and Cappe, Van says, go on without me, and pulls out the trick ball yet again to deal with some of the Shadow Ninja trying to keep them back. And man, this is the first shot we have seen Van in action and motion, and I just gotta say right now, this is cool. That's a pretty cool shot, actually. We actually haven't seen Van in any solid action shots. That's pretty well done. Oh, with the pose too. Of course, I love the pose that Van does at the end too. The 3-point, the point down. A little bit of style from Van, obviously being a very athletic and aerial kind of Ninjala combatant, as they've described in previous episodes. It's really cool to see everybody kind of get their time to shine a little bit. It's nice that we get Van to see Van to do some action, which is really neat. Now, they've never battled the Shadow Ninja before, and Genryusai does explain earlier in this episode that the Shadow Ninja are ninja that have been exiled, most likely. He doesn't say they've been exiled, but they're probably an exiled branch of the Oniwan Banshu, but they oppose the WNA's values in general. So they don't like what the WNA stands for, they don't like what the WNA does. It's really cool to see this scene and how this scene plays out, as the next people who run by is Van kind of takes Leonard somewhere else, does take a pretty bad gut shot by one of the Shadow Ninja. And as the Shadow Ninja you think are going to finish off Leonard or even Van, as Van kind of gets knocked away, you hear the sound of a wooden board smack and a stop sign smack. And you just know that Emma and Lucy are going to show up, and they are going to have to end up dealing with some of the Shadow Ninja now as well. Ooh. Ooh, that's a hit. It's a black blade. No, I'm kidding. They're confident. They get Leonard over to Burton and Berecca, and Burton and Berecca eventually take them to the hideout. But as Burton and Berecca are slowly taking Leonard to the hideout, they get ambushed by the 4 members that we saw in an earlier scene from the Oniwan Banshu. And they're wondering, okay, what the heck? Why is the Oniwan Banshu coming here? And as they try and deal with the members of the Oniwan Banshu, eventually Leonard gets pinned down, forcing Burton and Berecca into a bad situation, until Jane yells out from the side, get down, uses a piercing mixture, knocks everybody away. And then, all of a sudden, Ron comes into the scene to save the day, knowing that they're being pursued as well. And the only 2 not involved in this are Ron and Jane at the moment. There's the Oniwan Banshu assassins as well. Dude, what can I say actually about this episode? This is clean. Yeah, I figured. There it is. I was like, of course it'll happen. Dude, these shots are actually like really clean. Yet again, and what I love about the end of this scene is you get kind of some closure to the story of Burton, Ron, and Berecca, as while they're fighting the members of the Oniwan Banshu, as now Ron, Jane, Burton, and Berecca are enemies, adversaries of the Oniwan Banshu members, and possibly even Leonard now at this point, now that, you know, Alan might hear that Leonard is alive. Ron says it wasn't 2052 experiments, it was 2053. And I love that line. I think the delivery of that line is good. The animation on Ron in this scene as well throughout this entire thing is absolutely incredible. And eventually, of course, they do get Leonard to the hideout. That was such a good, like, rotating character shot. Not like a full camera rotation, but that was... like, the style just feels improved in this episode. It really does.
2503回だ。2503回目にこのガムが完成した。
And as they get Leonard to the hideout, they tend to Leonard's quick wounds. Leonard's a little cautious of Genryusai, and Berecca, you know, assures Leonard that, hey, he's on our side. You have nothing to worry about. It's our super secret hideout. Now, before they get to telling the story, or before Leonard gets to tell the story to Berecca of what actually happened on that day, because Leonard was there, all the other characters kind of walk in and they say, the Shadow Ninja are no joke, and I love that the 3 characters still standing after their battle with the Oniwan Banshu and the Shadow Ninja are Lucy, Ron, and Jane, and their confident faces as they walk into the scene, eyes closed with a little smirk. You don't see Jane, as Jane is actually behind Burton, but you can see Jane's actual, like, jacket vest behind Burton in the scene. And the way they draw Cappy, Van, and Emma here, awesome. I love it. Again, they really went all in with the stylization on this episode. It really seems like the animators, like I said, are picking up on this. I love how Lucy, Ron, and Jane just confidently walk in and everyone else is just beat. But we finally get the reason for get the story after this scene, and we get the story between Leonard and why Leonard is alive and why Sean is currently missing. And we understand that one day, as a member of the WNA, Sean carried out research on a meteorite that hit Odeo in the same region that Kappe's from, and a long, long time ago, like way even before the power of Shinobi most likely existed. So Sean, as a member of the WNA, worked for that, and it was believed at the time that the meteorite was the key to understanding the power of Shinobi later down the line. As the WNA was probably established at that point, ninja descendants were kind of revealing themselves, or they were having powers as well. So Sean ends up going to Odeo, and he recovers a shard of this meteorite. Now, this meteorite is known as the Black Stone. So they're referred to as black stones, and in these black stones, Sean, Berecca's father, could directly link it to the power of Shinobi, which means this meteorite played a big important thing for probably why the Space Ninjas showed up, why the Shadow Ninja have been after other members as well, because the Shadow Ninja are also after the Black Stones for their own purposes, where the Space Ninja might be wanting to recover this meteorite or this Black Stone for another reason. It could have been part of their race before the power of Shinobi came to Earth or something like that. The Space Ninja do have a big part to play in this.
隕石に忍びの力の秘密が隠されているのではないか。それがショーンが立てた仮説だった。彼がお江戸から持ち帰った隕石のかけらから
The Black Stone.
忍びの力に影響を与える物質が検出された。隕石をさらに詳しく調べれば、現在失われつつある忍びの力を取り戻せるかもしれない。私はショーンに誘われ、
So as you get older, your powers decrease. So Sean and Leonard, obviously, as Sean brought it back, he brought in Leonard into his research, and they went on a geological survey that Genryusai mentioned earlier. So they thought, Leonard and Sean thought, with further research, that they could understand why they can recover some of the powers they continue to lose today. Which brings up my theory that I brought back way long ago in Lucy's episode, is why Lucy's mother, why bring up the line that I used to have the same power of Shinobi as you did? Why did you used to have the same power of Shinobi as Lucy does now? And my theory, and what I even said in my reaction, is what if, as you get older, your ninja powers, unless you keep them honed, degrade over time. Much like a rock, they erode. And that was, I honestly think there's some huge credibility to that, because you don't see a lot of the older characters, unless they've been trained and honed with their ninja abilities. You don't see a lot of those characters using ninja abilities. In fact, we saw it with Burton and Berecca in episode 1 of the Ninjala anime, where they were only able to awaken their hidden shinobi powers after they ate the ninja gum. While they were ninja descendants, yes, they had the pink glint in their eye. They did not have the training to hone their powers, and they were slowly starting to degrade over time, which is probably why they weren't able to access their shinobi powers, but Ron was, as a member of the Only One Bashu, trained to use his powers of shinobi. Such an interesting concept there, and I think there's some huge credibility to that theory, and it's such a well done explanation too. So either way, Sean and Leonard do go to this geological survey site in Odeo, and they find remnants of this meteorite in the earth of Odeo. They're black stones, it's glistening, and it's this mining cave, and it's a huge thing. They're thinking because this meteorite hit the earth and it's in this cave, the power of shinobi from this cave, potentially, they don't actually explain it, but this is my theory on it, the power of shinobi that is now embedded in the earth is spreading, and that's why the Space Ninja are trying to come back and take the power of shinobi. They're actually trying to take ninja descendant kids and kind of remove their powers. For what purpose, I don't know. Probably to search for information on the meteorite. Whereas the Shadow Ninja, they want it for their own purposes. And we do see in that in this same scene that the Shadow Ninja do come back. They do go over. They do attack Sean and Leonard for their own research. And we learn that Sean actually saves Leonard's life. And because of this, Berecca kind of gets really upset because now Berecca's thinking, okay, her father might actually be dead, which is not confirmed if he's dead or not. Currently, that's probably why the side effect of the Ninja Gum actually exists. Because if that's linked to the Black Stones from Story Mode Chapter 2 and why earlier, in an earlier episode, Lucy's mom mentioned that she no longer has the power of Shinobi, it's because it erodes over time, like the rock. That's such an interesting idea. There's more explanation here than there is in Story Mode Chapter 2, and it just works so well. Wow, voice actor went in. It is implied that Berecca's father is just missing in the Ninjala game. They never get any backstory like this, where, you know, Berecca's father creates a cave-in and saves Leonard's life. But unfortunately, even for that, despite, you know, Berecca being upset about this, Leonard continues the story. And he says that, yes, while they probably killed your father for what he knew, they also later then captured me and took part of the equation that Sean developed for finding the Black Stones and understanding what the Black Stones are. And that's why the Shadow Ninja are after Leonard. If Leonard already hasn't made an alliance with them for some reason. And it's a really nice, it's a nice scene. It's a really good scene, really well done, really well paced overall, and a very good episode. So, you know, the wish of Leonard is to go back to Odeo and, you know, kind of finish what he started to challenge the Shadow Ninja. And at the end of the scene, Berecca decides to step up, and with a little support, emotional support from her friends, she decides she's going to Odeo. She wants to see exactly what happened to her father. And in episode 21, we are going to start to get that. Maybe. Not quite in Odeo, I wouldn't think yet. But, of course, the people who go to Odeo at the end of the scene are going to be, in order, Berecca, Cappe, because he grew up and knows everything about Odeo, which is really funny because if you think about it, Berecca and Cappe are the main two characters that they use in Story Mode Chapter 2. Just saying. I'm just saying. I think there might be some credibility to everything I've been saying this entire time, where Leonard might sneak out earlier. And Jane is going too. Now, Jane obviously wasn't in Story Mode Chapter 2, so something could happen to Jane, or Jane will just kind of be like, back up. And I'm interested to see how that goes. And there's a really neat scene, although there is a mistranslation here in the episode that I want to bring up, is Genryusai is talking about who will be going to Odeo. Emma says that she wants to go as well, and Jane doesn't believe Cappe that you know everything there is to be Odeo. Van is confident that he wants to go. Genryusai, as Emma says, I want to go to Odeo. Genryusai says, wait, Emma. He does not say, here's who will be going. He says, wait, Emma, this is who will be going. And he talks to, obviously, it's going to be Berecca. Cappe, he says, wait, as it passes over Van, and Van's face kind of falls. Jane. And it's really funny. The reaction on Van's face here is cool. It's classic. I gotta play this little clip because if you watch it, it's really cool.
いずれ私はもう一度お江戸に戻り、シャドウ忍者と戦うつもりだ。
待って。私が行くわ。
ベレッカ。
Or the next episode's gonna be
この目で見てみたいの。
Story Mode Chapter 2. Ooh, this is interesting.
私は大丈夫。レナードさんの話を信じないわけじゃないけど、その場所に行ってちゃんと父さんにさよならを言わないと私の気が済まないの。
ベレッカ。
お江戸に行くならオイラも一緒に行くよ。お江戸のことなら何でも知ってるし。
That makes so much sense.
カッペが心配ね。
Where Cappe grew up.
俺も行く。
Oh my god. Oh, everyone's gonna go.
お江戸へ行くのはベレッカとカッペ、そしてジェーンじゃ。
なんで私が？
And that's kind of how the episode ends. As, you know, the episode ends with all of them kind of gathered in the secret hideout. It feels like there is a sense of closure to the Ninjala anime Season 1. And I honestly can't be happier for it. I think what the Ninjala anime has done is it has given players who play the game, it has given us a new outlook on the story of Ninjala. It's given us reasons to do different new OCs or come up with, you know, more stories ourselves or come up with some wild and crazy theories. And trust me, there have been a lot as the episodes have been coming out. Trust me, the community is very, very creative in discussing what they want to do with these episodes and discussing the lore implications and everything. Again, a lot of talent here in the Ninjala community, and the Ninjala anime has really kind of brought the community together in a way I didn't think it was going to, and it's nice, and it's very nice to see. And what I also like about this is because it feels like a season finale for Ninjala, like the Ninjala anime season finale. We even get a new outro for this, which is really neat. But in the next episode, obviously, we're gonna be getting some looks at, you know, Berecca, Jane, and Kappei heading their way to Odeo. And I believe Goro is going as well, as Burton packs up Goro in a suitcase in the episode preview. We're going to get to see Kappei's grandfather, Master Genryusai, which is Genryusai's brother. And I'm kind of excited to see that. It looks like we're also going to get a flashback of young Burton and young Berecca doing other things besides what they did when they got lost walking home from the school field trip. And I'm looking forward to Episode 21. I'm looking forward to the Ninjala anime Season 2 because, again, this feels like it is closure for Season 1 on the Ninjala anime, and a whole new part of the anime is going to be starting, and I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed the episode, and of course, I would love to know what you guys thought of this episode down in the comments section below. I hope you guys are looking forward to Season 2. I mean, that's the other big thing. And that's all I really have to say on this episode. I've kind of said my piece, and you know, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. So, of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit that like button, as well as hitting that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that is. And, of course, until then, this is CAJ Man 777 signing off. Stay safe, everybody.